It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Cue a sad trombone. Minnesota Twins swept by the St. Louis Cardinals to open the 2025 season. Bull. That was another ugly performance. Multiple rain delays, multiple ineffectiveness from the pitching, from the hitting. Just about everything did not go the Twins' way. But here's the good news. We're buckled in for another Twins season here on the SKOR North Twins Show, so hit the like button and subscribe button. I hope this isn't deja vu and all over again, but this was a similar start to last year when they started 7-13 and then actually kind of played some good baseball before once again collapsing. But we're going to be here all season. I'll be here all season covering the Twins. I was able to cover the game on Thursday at Busch Stadium. It was a spectacle. I'm going to save that bigger rant for Mackie and Judd on the SKOR North Twins Show on Monday because I have a lot of takes of how much St. Louis does their baseball. I have never experienced that before. I think fans probably know where I'm going to go with that. I'm going to save that rant for another day because today's rant is about the Twins being swept in St. Louis. So, AJ, here's a brief rundown of what happened.
Hit me.
Okay, so going into today, we had just, I think, 3 hits now, or after today, only 3 hits with runners in scoring position. The entire top of the lineup, including Carlos Correa, can't get on base or even get a hit. Bailey Ober was roughed up for 8 earned runs for the second straight season start like he did last year. So runners in scoring position, still a problem. 2 of your 3 starting pitchers, problem. The best bullpen in baseball that was dubbed before the season, problem. Other than that, there's a couple other individual highlights that we can get to later on. Other than that, it was a disastrous start to the season for the Twins in 2025.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to look at it. The good news is it's a long season, and there's 159 more games that they can win. The bad news is there are only 3 games in, and there's 159 more games to go, Declan. This start has been less than ideal. The good news, if you immediately want to salvage something here, the silver lining is you have the creme de la creme of minor league teams with the White Sox coming up. I think the series starts tomorrow. Yep. I just tweeted out Sam Blum is an athletic reporter, beat reporter for the White Sox. They are in a rain delay, similar to the Twins and the Cardinals today. The tarp setup that the White Sox have is everything you need to know about what the Twins should do to them here on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They have 12 different tarps. They have as many tarps as players on the field, essentially. So the Twins should find some good graces when they go to South Chicago, but taking away from what we've seen Thursday, Saturday, Sunday here against the Cardinals, I mean, you'd expect Sonny Gray the other day to want to stick it to the Twins after his stint in Minnesota. Other than Harrison Bader, good for him for that home run that he had on opening day, kind of getting back a former Cardinal himself. But when you get, especially the Joe Ryan performance that you got, 5 innings out of him, I think it was only 1 or 2 earned runs against. He put you in a spot to win a baseball game. All of a sudden, you can't do anything out of the bullpen. Throughout the weekend, you had some fielding blunders that bite you in the butt. I think you pointed out today, the first time they led in a game after getting on the board first today. That's disheartening. It's a weekend to forget for the Twins. That it's going to be a solemn plane ride home, I'm sure, but it's a quick one. Not even ride home. They're going to go right to Chicago. So it's something where you're going to have to immediately put this in the rearview mirror, but you can't pass up the key guys in your lineup just simply not getting it done for these first 3 games.
And I guess there's this other silver lining of the Twins were stinging the ball hard. Exit velos, check. That's good. You're hitting the ball hard. You're hitting them at a lot of people. You're hitting them atom balls. Your St. Louis defense is making good plays. The expected batting average on those balls more often than not should drop. But the issue is last year you got off to a horrendous start, needed to dig yourself out, and then weren't ever really able to catch Cleveland before falling on your face. And on that exact heels, you had such a poor end of the season last year with a minimal offseason of expectation and then a weird ownership situation that we're going to sell the team. We're all happy about that. Then the prospective buyer drops out and actually, hey, we're going to keep the team. And oh, hey, actually, I might just keep the team in general.
And then, hey, we have actually so much debt also, so we're going to have to factor that in.
A lot of bad things, a lot of bad juju going into this series. So all that takes place, and then here you go. You get swept in St. Louis. You have to sit through 2 different rain delays. Like, I get it. It was a kind of a wonky series. You had the off day Friday that happens with opening weekend. But, yeah, outside of Trevor Larnach, Willie Castro, and who you just mentioned in Joe Ryan, who had a really solid start yesterday and his first start back in almost 6 months, nothing else was in the Twins' favor. Really, really ugly baseball.
Yeah, it at one point, especially on opening day, like, I understand maybe you just can't get to a team's ace in Sonny Gray, and he's a good pitcher still. But then you finally start getting a couple knocks. But then just to really have nothing materialize, it didn't feel like this team had a lot of momentum strung together inning by inning by inning over the course of this first series. Like, it's okay to have a double here and there, but when you can't do that in the same inning or in back-to-back innings to really grab a game by the horns, you're just not going to win games. You need Buxton, you need Correa, and I know, I've already seen the crowd. Well, you got to remember they're missing Royce Lewis still. I don't care. You have Byron Buxton, you have Carlos Correa in the top of that order. That should be enough for right now. This is not the Dodgers. This is the Cardinals. You should be able to get a win here on the road in Busch Stadium. So serious adjustments are probably going to have to be made here. We're not panic button by any means, but it's just like, it was a very poor showing from the guys that you look to step up and probably set the tempo. Like, if you can't get the momentum going and the energy going for opening day and that opening series on the road, it's kind of disheartening. So
yeah, I mean, Wallner, Correa, Buxton. Now Buxton drove in Wallner earlier, to your point. I think so. That was their first time they led in 20+ innings to start the year. But Correa is still hitless on the season. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Correa gets an off day tomorrow. I know that sounds a little weird going into a situation where you're going to be playing a new series, but they're probably going to get him off his feet. Probably a Willie Castro start at shortstop there. They're also facing a lefty in Martin Perez for the first time. So, yeah, your top of the lineup, Wallner, Correa, Buxton, did not perform. Trevor Larnach had some good at-bats. Ty France had a lot of really bad luck. He stung the ball really well on a few occasions this series, but again, still couldn't get anything to drop. Harrison Bader provides some nice defense, has the nice heroic game in his return to St. Louis on Thursday, but still. And then, just a lot of core pieces. Pablo Lopez, Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, even Griffin Jacks, who had an ugly showing on Thursday. Like, Duran yesterday was melting down and couldn't get anybody out. Just about every core player, if you named the 5 best players for the Twins going into the season, none of them showed up through the first 3 games. And yeah, it's 3 games. It might not mean anything. For God's sakes, the Miami Marlins are the darlings of baseball right now. Let's all, we can reverse this engineering however well we want, and we can have a different side of this conversation 1 week from now. But all the Twins players that they rely on basically did not come through for them. And that was basically the thing that they're staring at as they probably board a plane here for take a 20-minute flight from St. Louis to Chicago.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you need crucial at-bats and you're excited for your 7, 8, 9 hitters to be up and not like 2, 3, 4. That's always a bad sign. But that's what I was feeling. Like, I had more faith in Willie Castro, Jose Miranda, and Harrison Bader. I know Bader went 0 for on the day. Miranda with 1 hit. Willie Castro had 2, but like, that's where we were at. And you need a Wallner, Correa, Buxton. That has to be at least a hit. Like, you're starting the game, you're setting the tempo, especially with just like the power and what we've seen those players do. I know Correa notoriously is like a slow starter.
Yeah.
But when you're a guy of his caliber, it's so weird to have that excuse year after year. Why can't that slow start happen in spring training, knocking off the rust, so you're ready for opening day? Byron Buxton, I mean, I know we are probably like 1 fly ball to center field away from him probably having to leave, but we've seen him start really well in the season. I think it was 3 years ago. He had that like
Oh, yeah.
AL
April.
Player of the Month, April. Like we know how good he can start early. Both of those guys need to align the stars. And granted, even if you get a day off here against the White Sox, this should be the week of White Sox, bad team in division. You need to get wins there. That should be a punching bag for them. And then you're home, your first series at home. And granted, I know the weather isn't going to be great. It's not right now. If you look out the window, we might have a little snow on the ground come opening day, but like this should be getting things set for some sort of early season run, because you cannot have what happened last year where you're playing from behind all year long.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And you know what? Only 8 hits, I believe, over the last 2 games. So 8 hits over the last 2 for the Twins offense. So, I mean, the thing was on Thursday, and I was at Thursday's game. I mean, they had chances to still win that game. They get down, like Pablo Lopez is a really rough debut, but they still rally, and they are a run away from tying the game. Then Griffin Jacks gives up the big meatball, and then it's like, so that one goes down to 2. But then yesterday and today, I mean, yeah, your offense basically doesn't show up at all. On this side for Bailey Ober, so I did some digging on this because this happened last year. You got just absolutely destroyed in Kansas City. I don't know what it is about teams based in Missouri, but if that's a scheduled start for Bailey Ober, I'm skipping it. I legitimately, and it probably isn't too hard to do, I bet his ERA, career ERA against teams not named Kansas City or St. Louis is probably under the 4s. It's probably a really respectable, very good ERA, but he gets destroyed by them. So this year, last year, Bailey Ober got roughed up in Kansas City. He had a 54 ERA after the first start of the season, and it took him 19 starts, and he was damn good in those 19 starts afterwards. He went 113 innings, struck out 120 batters over that stretch, only 26 walks. Opponents hit 197, but it took 19 more starts to lower that ERA to under 4. So, like, yes, I know ERA is not the most indicative stat and not the stat that everyone looks at as gospel anymore. It took him until late July to really make sure his ERA looked that's a respectable starting pitcher if you never had heard of Bailey Ober before. So just everyone outside of Joe Ryan and Willie Castro and Trevor Larnach, in my opinion. Outside of that, the other 23 guys in this team, not a great showing in St. Louis.
No, and we are getting a few comments here. Make sure if you aren't already, go subscribe.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
To the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube page, but some praise for Randy Dobnak in the chat.
The Dauber.
I mean, Randy Dobnak, I think it's hard to not be a fan of his. It's kind of like just and I say this endearingly, but like a cartoon character of an MLB career. Like the whole going from Uber driver to now just an everyday kind of reliever. Like he's with the team, he's back, and then he had the whole mustache thing that was just impeccable. But he comes in a game where it felt like after that rain delay, Dex, I don't know about you, but it felt like they were ready to go. Like, let's just get this game over with. He comes in, puts out a decent showing. Sure, he let up, who was it? Nolan Gorman, I think, took him deep for 409 feet. But other than that, he hung in there. He got through. They didn't have to get through any other arms, really, or any other crucial arms. So he had a decent day when I think a lot of other people phoned it in. But at the same time, the story is that he was put into a position where he's out there just to kind of hey, make the best of it. It's the first 5 innings before that, the first 6 innings before he got the nod on the mound to really say, all right, why are you in this position before? And that goes back to Bailey Ober, 8 hits, 8 earned runs, 3 walks, just a terrible, terrible day. So, I mean, they're as bad as it was, there's a few silver linings, a few good bright spots, but overall, just a terrible, terrible series of baseball.
Yeah, appreciate you guys that subscribe and hit the like button. I know this is a rough start for the Twins, but I'll be covering the team this year again. I'm looking forward to it. I would like for them not to be 0-162. That wouldn't be a fun time to go into a locker room like that, but I still plan to be at the majority of home games this year. What did you make, Age? And Ryan Jeffers used one today, and apparently Twins players were toying with them in spring training, and they've actually been around longer than people thought, but this Torpedo Bat, the Torpedo Bat that took baseball by storm this weekend in New York, and poor Nestor Cortez. So Jeffers used one today at one point during the game. I think he only used it for one at bat, And Audra Martin said on the TV broadcast that a lot of the players are just not really for it because it's so new and so there's not a lot of data points on them. Like Correa said, I needed a year's worth of data before I'd consider using something like this. But I feel like the Torpedo Bat is like the A1 talker of opening weekend here. I mean, yeah, the Yankees got off to a sweet start and they were the ones using it, so naturally we're going to talk about it a ton. But the Torpedo Bat, yay, nay? Are we a fan of this? What do you think?
I think it's more funny that it in this like the 150 this season or whatever of Major League Baseball, scientists just found out that if you create a bat that where the ball is hit, that's the hardest, the ball's gonna fly farther. Crazy. After all these years, we finally have come to that development that's gonna help the players hit the ball harder. I think it's funny also too that, like, as you mentioned, some players are like, I need years. I need a PhD study, an MIT level grade guy to walk me through years of data. And then Ryan Jeffers is like, oh yeah, the Yankees, they just hit like 18 home runs yesterday. That's enough for me. I mean, if that's what it's going to take, sure. It does look a little wonky. So I know, like, head games wise, I'm sure holding that and being like, this is weird. It looks, to me, it looks more like a bowling pin with a hand.
Yeah.
Like, that's the shape that I see.
Yep. I can see that.
So if you're kind of thinking about that, you have that in the back of your mind, like, this is just weirder, but clearly it's working for the Yankees so far, like some of those guys. So if that's going to make you hit the ball an extra 15 feet, sometimes that's going to be the difference between, getting it over that right fielder's head or not, getting it over the wall or not. So who is against science if that's the case? It'd be weird to say, no, I'm going to stick to this bat that I have a certain limitation to. And I know there's a lot of talk about, like, the rules in terms of, like, the shape of the bat. Like, it doesn't specifically say, like, they are legal.
Yeah, they're legal.
I know
it's legal bat.
They're a legal bat. So I know that's a lot of people are like, well, how are they able to use that? It's a legal bat.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. If that's what it's going to take to get a couple extra runs on the board, and frankly, after what we saw this weekend, Twins might want to make those a required thing for the clubhouse. But I like it. It's just weird that it took this long to have somebody say this. Hey, by the way, this is a thing. I'd be curious though, how much different is that from, like, the cork stuff, like a corked bat? I mean, obviously it is different because it's just all wood, but it's like, if you gave that to Barry Bonds, is he hitting the ball 600 feet? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird. Technology is weird because you'd never think you could just, like, change a baseball bat that much to benefit a hitter.
Yeah, 100%. I'm seeing so many, like, it's been the most talked about thing of opening weekend has been the Yankees and the Torpedo Bat, and everyone else being like, no, like, Jeffers used one today. Someone picked out a picture of, like, a Royals guy using it at spring training too. Like, this is a legal bat. It's just, I know it shocks you as common sports fans. You don't really care about baseball. So, like, when you see something that's abnormal, you're like, well, what the hell is this? And I understand you want to know more about it. And we'll see if, like, Jeffers continues to use it. It sounded like a lot of the Twins players were just kind of against it for now. But to AJ's point, I mean, give them all a Torpedo Bat if they all work. I mean, I really don't care. I think, but I don't know, maybe Matt Borg-Schulte, the new hitting coach, likes it or not, doesn't like it. I'm all for anything that gets it going. We will have a State of the Twins show on Monday. We'll have Trevor Plouffe Tuesday. Trev also did, like, a big breakdown on his Instagram page. Coach Trev did, just on the Torpedo Bat and what he knew about it too. So go follow him on Instagram if you want more information from there. But I agree with Age. No better team to get off the schneid against than the White Sox. On the field, off the field. The Twins, I believe, went 8-1 last year. I think they only lost one game, shockingly, against Eric Fetty, who carved them up yesterday for the Cardinals. So, in starts not made by Eric Fetty, the Twins were undefeated against Chicago last season. So, hopefully that's the case. Any other opening weekend takes? How do your Cubbies look? Cubs look okay this weekend? I haven't paid attention to that.
It's nice to not have to wake up and watch a game at 5 o'clock in the morning. Instead, I'm watching it at, like, 10 o'clock at night because they're down in Arizona with that whole deal. But I mean, they've looked great for the most part. They kind of Friday night crap the bed, but past couple of days they've been looking good. They're up 3-0 right now. But I think the funny part is this is maybe a quick rant, and maybe you have an opinion on this too. You and I both, for the SKOR North network of shows, we do stuff on social media. We make posts. So there is certain narratives you do want to have to kind of hop on and whatnot. And I can imagine for the person that runs the MLB Twitter, Facebook, X account, there's probably a certain number of teams that they probably lean more towards. But it's hilarious when the when the reigning defending champion, $300 million payroll Los Angeles Dodgers come back against the Detroit Tigers in a game where a casual baseball fan doesn't know who the reliever is on the mound other than probably Tigers fans, to say like, don't ever count this team out. Nobody was counting them out. Quite literally 0 people, not even the pitcher who blew the game. Everybody was just fine. For casual baseball fans, I feel like they think there might be only one team, which right now, I mean, there's so many young stars in the game where just to say like, yeah, hey, it's only Dodger territory. Like the entire nation loves the Dodgers, Shohei, and we love Sasaki, and we all, Freddie Freeman's great. And yeah, they are great. But look at the Orioles. They've got Gunnar Henderson. Adley Rutschman's one of the best young catchers in baseball. You look at Ellie De La Cruz. You look at O'Neill Cruz, if you want to stay there. Like, there's a lot of just really young stars, and I'm kind of already, like, we're 3 games in, we're 1 weekend in, and I'm already kind of sick of the, hey, it's Dodgers all the time, every time. I don't know if you share that same opinion, but baseball's a great sport. I would love more people to get a little bit of the spotlight.
I agree. No, I completely agree with that. By the way, hit that like button, subscribe button. Thanks to everyone who has supported the Twin Show. We have like 150 people here watching this episode, so thank you. Also, if you're in town, in the Twin Cities this week, we'll be at Kieran's from 1 to 2 o'clock on Thursday for the home opener. So we'll be at Kieran's Irish Pub. It's just steps away from Target Center and Target Field. So if you want to bundle up, do a little pregame action there, you want to watch the Twin Show podcast, Mackie, Judd, and myself will be out there on Thursday, April 3rd for that. Plus, we'll have coverage of the home opener. I know Judd and I will be there at Target Field. Looking forward to that. So if you're in town or you're coming to town for the game or you're a Houston Astros fan who has stumbled upon this podcast and you want to go watch some information on the Twins, stop in at Kieran's on Thursday from 1 to 2 o'clock. Appreciate that. And then also our sponsors. We have a load of sponsors that have jumped on board for the SKOR North Twins Show for this coming season. So thank you to all of them. We'll have more information on them. The more you support our sponsors, the more you support our show. It just it keeps the lights on here and it keeps things going. So thank you for everyone for keeping that. For AJ, I'm Declan. This is an extra innings episode. This is the SKOR North Twins Show. State of the Twins, and it's going to be a spicy one coming up tomorrow.